Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for watching the video. So today we're going to talk about whether or not to lock the arms out fully or to have one or both of the arms bent when you're shooting. So I see a lot of people come into the gun range and they've received some, let's just say, old school training, or they've seen videos or movies, that sort of thing. And I'm going to turn to the side so you guys can see this, where maybe the hand holding the gun is fully extended, but the other hand is cupped either like this, or the teacup grip, where one arm is extended and one arm is doing this, okay? So generally speaking, let's start off with revolvers. First of all, back in the old days, these things were made out of two things, steel and wood. Revolvers were very, very heavy. Revolvers were still heavy. I own a Colt Python, got it for my birthday a couple of years ago. Thing weighs almost 3 pounds when it's loaded. The mass of the gun is going to be the first line of defense against recoil. So if you have a very, very heavy gun and you're shooting it, the mass of the gun itself is going to help you manage the recoil. With more modern guns, like plastic guns, like the Glocks, this is a replica of a Glock 19, they're very, very light by comparison. So there's not so much mass of the gun to absorb the recoil. The rest of it is you. The rest of it is how you grip the gun, your stance, your technique, and to a big extent, whether or not your arms are fully extended or whether or not your arms are bent. So let's just talk about semi-automatics, for example. If you have a semi-automatic, the most common source of malfunctions is, number one, improper lubrication. Like anything with metal moving parts, if it's not lubricated properly, it's not going to run properly. It's like your car. Don't put oil in your car, drive around for a while, see what happens. Okay? Same thing with a semi-automatic. If it is not properly lubricated, the slide is not going to reciprocate properly along the frame, and it's either going to have a failure to feed, it's going to have a failure to eject, you may have a stovepipe, or of course the worst is you end up with a double feed. Your second reason for malfunctions on a semi-automatic is it's the shooter. And it typically comes from having the arms too bent and the wrists too relaxed, and when you fire, the gun is snapping up. So for semi-automatics to function properly, they need a very, very stable platform, believe it or not. You actually have to have a decent grip on this gun, or it does run the risk of having a malfunction. So any grip that I have, and I'm going to turn this way, where one arm is bent, okay, is detracting from my ability to really get behind this gun and push it out and keep some pressure on it. So if you shoot with both arms, I've seen people doing this as well, okay, I would not prefer to have a semi-automatic, or any gun for that matter, that close to my face. Your best bet at hitting the target is having a wide line here and be able to reach out and keep both arms extended and have a long line of sight from your head, looking through those sights. The shorter this is, actually the less accurate it's going to be. The longer this line is, the more accurate it's going to be. But going back to the subject of recoil, I want this gun to function flawlessly, especially in a self-defense situation. So I'm going to get my proper grip on it. And fingers, always spoon fingers, thumbs spooning thumbs. You could do the crushed thumbs grip, but you're getting less purchase on the gun. You're getting less skin contact, which is going to make it a little bit less efficient at managing the recoil. So I want everything skin-wise I can get on this gun. And I'm going to turn so the video you can see it. There is a lot of skin on that gun, just as much from the support hand as there is from a dominant hand. I want to lock out, and not just that, I want to lean in when I shoot. This way, when the gun fires, the force is pushing directly against my wrist and into my shoulder, and into my elbow, and into my shoulder. And so the gun, when it's firing, isn't doing this sort of thing, it's going, it's going just like that. Okay? So remember, if you want the best ability to manage the recoil of a semi-automatic, and you want the best opportunity to avoid having failures to feed, failures to eject, stovepipes, double feeds, any of the malfunctions that can happen with a semi-automatic, your best bet, lock both of those arms out, push it out there, and also lean in. Another thing too, since we're on the topic of pushing the arms out, I'm going to talk about aiming just real quick. It wasn't originally the intention of this video, but it just came to mind and I want to share it with you guys. So when I teach folks, I always like to imagine something visual. Give them a visual that they can kind of relate to. So I always talk about, imagine the bullseye is the sun, the gun is the moon, and your head is the earth, and we're looking at what happens during a solar eclipse. All three of these points line up. Right? So if I draw the gun out, or I'm getting ready to shoot, and I just have it at chest level, with the bullseye out there, I want the gun to come forward, or go forward, and come up. And I want my head to go forward and go down. And so in that fashion, I have the bullseye, the gun, and my head. And when my head lines up with the bullseye and the gun is directly between the two, that defines for me the correct position. And then once again, I do want these arms fully extended. Boom, boom, boom. One last thing as well. I had a student this last week who had come in, nice fellow. He was so tense. He was, the first time in a long time that I've had difficulty having a student get on bullseye at 3 yards, and it wasn't from doing anything other than he was just gripping the gun really tight. So this gun, if you extend all the way out, and if you grab high, you have a good grip, you have a good stance, and you have a good extension on your arm. This gun is not going to fly to your hands, I promise you that. Okay? You can grab very high on the back of the gun, right like that, and have a somewhat relaxed grip on it, and just take the other hand and press this hand into this hand. I'm not doing this, I'm pulling back with the right hand and pushing with the front hand and trying to achieve this dynamic tension. No, 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 you don't need any of that. When you pull the trigger on the gun, last time I checked, the gun doesn't try to run away from you. When you pull the trigger on the gun, recoil is going to push the gun back towards you. You can have a relatively relaxed grip on the gun, very relaxed, just like a warm handshake, not like a crusher that you're trying to kill somebody, but just a relaxed handshake. These fingers on those fingers, these thumbs on those thumbs, and when I shoot, I'm actually doing so very, very, very relaxed. My arms are extended, and I'm mostly using, to be honest with you, I'm using my skeletal structure a lot more than I'm using muscle to mitigate this recoil. Just like for you guys out there that have lifted weights. If you're doing a bench press, when your arms are bent, you're using muscle to push that weight out. And once you get the weight out there, if you locked your elbows, yeah, you're using a little bit of muscle, but you're mostly using your skeletal structure to do the work. That's exactly what you're going to do when you shoot. You're going to take that gun, start off close, you're going to push it out, and notice that when I push this thing out, it's not white knuckled, and I'm not tensing my arms, and I'm not gripping this thing to death. It's just the opposite, very, very relaxed. I push out, and I lean in, because any extra gripping that I'm doing up here is going to have the potential when I pull that trigger of me jerking the gun off target, making me less accurate. All right, well that's it for today. Thanks again for listening to my video. Please subscribe to us, watch us on YouTube, watch us on Patreon. If you're enjoying the videos, please send us some feedback. We'd love to hear back from you guys. Also, if you have some ideas about topics you would like to see covered in the videos, we'd love to hear back from you guys. I've been teaching martial arts and firearms. Basically, that's what I do. Spent my entire life teaching, and the thing I get out of it the most is I enjoy having people ask interesting questions and being able to address those. So definitely send us your questions, give us any feedback you can. And once again, thank you for watching this video. We really appreciate it, and you have a great day.